letting someone connect to audio there and then we will begin. Great. Okay, let's get moving, guys. Starting in that standing pose. And if you are using the playlist, you can get that going with me. Just make sure that your queue is cleared, just to avoid any crazy songs coming on during our practice. Okay, let's start in the standing position then. So feet about hip width distance underneath us. Great. Okay, let's start by taking some nice big rolls through the shoulders, drawing the shoulders up to the ears, pulling them back and down, just taking some rotations, drawing shoulders up, back and round, and then some counter rotations, so shoulders forwards and round, so just the opposite rotation. Brilliant. You can just switch direction a few times here, just releasing some of that upper body tension that might have come stored throughout the day. Okay, really nice. Let your arms lie heavy here. Take a nice deep breath in to reach the arms up tall. You're going to interlace your left fingertips. So obviously my hands are out of shot here. Left fingers around your right wrist and gently stretch off to your left side there. Just welcoming some length through the side body. Starting to warm up the spine. Brilliant. Come through center. Let's come off to the other side. So drawing your right fingertips around your left wrist and easing your body off to the right side. Really nice, brilliant. Draw yourself up through center, release your arms by your sides here. And we're going to come straight into a quadricep stretch today. So just give your hands a little shake, your legs a little shake. And we're going to move into a stretch for the front of the legs, a really traditional stretch, really great to get those quadriceps nice and long. So you can either use this as a balance practice, going straight into building stability. If you want to focus more on your stretch, you can grab the wall or a chair or something to stabilize you. We're going to root down through our left foot to start here, so pushing down through the big toe and outer edge of that left foot. Guide your right hand towards your ankle, foot, drawing the heel towards your glutes here. I'll demonstrate this side on. So I'm using this as an opportunity to practice my balance, but as I said, feel free to grab a chair or something to stabilize you. We are predominantly focusing on stretching through that right quadricep here. And you may want to lift your left fingertips up to the ceiling if you're challenging your balance with me there. Great job. Final deep breath on this side. Lovely. Let's release that right foot down to the earth. A little bit of shake through the hands and legs again. And then coming onto the other side. So guiding your left hand to your left ankle, drawing that heel towards glutes. And again, we can either practice balance here or draw a hand to an aid of stability, wall or chair. If you're balancing with me, you may want to reach the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. And we're stretching into that left quadricep now, pushing down with the big toe of the right foot and the outer edge to keep ourselves firmly rooted to the mats or the floor. You don't really need a mat for this practice, just our bodies. Really good. Taking a final deep breath in. And then exhaling out to release, shaking through the hands, shaking through the legs. And then you're going to come widthways on your mat with me, drawing your toes to face outwards, externally rotating into the hip joint, soft bend through the knees. So make sure you're not hyperextending or locking through those knees. You can see the difference there. My knees like to lock, so I have to remind myself as well to maintain that soft bend, protecting the knee joints. Guide your hands to your hips here. Take a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, start to soften and fold forward from your hips. Don't worry if this feels a little bit sticky. It's still quite early on in our class. So just ease yourself into your forward folds. And just to keep things a little bit more dynamic here, I like to gently sway from one side to the other in this wide leg fold. So just easing myself into stretch either side, maybe taking a pause off to one side, feeling that sensation through the side of the body. And then gently making my way to the other side. And then maybe finding some stillness through center. Great. But we're going to guide our right palm down to the earth in front of us. And we're going to lift our left fingertips up towards the ceiling. So we're coming into a twist in our fold here. Again, don't worry if this feels quite challenging in terms of the twist. Just do it as best you can to find that rotation through the spine. And then replace your right hand with your left palm, coming into your twist the other way. Great, let's take that one more time either side, just exploring this range of motion. So rooting down through your right palm there, lifting the left fingertips up towards the ceiling above you. And then again, moving through the other side. Maybe noticing any shifts either side of the body. Brilliant, let's all come back through center. Bend generously into your knees, guide your hands to your hips, strong through the core. Take your time to lift the body up. Brilliant. So we're going to come to the top of our mat now. Just take your time to meet me here. Feet hip width distance. Great. We're going to come onto the tips of our toes here, challenging our balance a little. Fingertips out in front of us. And we're going to gently make our way down to the earth. So really take your time, coming all the way down. If you've got dodgy knees, just come down in whatever way is comfortable. Don't worry. Meeting in this little ball at the top of the mat. And then we're coming onto our sit bones. We're going to draw ourselves towards the back of the mat, extending our legs out in front of us. Brilliant. Hug the right knee up towards your chest here. Draw your left arm around the right knee. Fingertips behind you, the right fingertips, and looking over your shoulder for this seated twist. So I wanted to start our stretch class today with a focus on our spine. This is the center of our being, really, our movements, our body. So really important that we welcome some release, some mobility, warm up through the back body before we move into some of those other stretches we'll take today. Okay, lovely job. Draw your gaze back through center. Draw the left knee to meet your right knee here, and then extend that right leg forward in front of you on the mat. So we're hugging that left knee towards the chest. Wrap your right arm around your left knee. Draw your left fingertips back behind you, keeping the spine nice and long here. Crown of the head over heart, and your heart is over your pelvis. And then we're twisting the other way. So we're looking over the left shoulder behind us, finding that rotation. Really good. Okay, let's draw our gaze back through center. Hug your knees to the chest here, and then draw the soles of your feet together. You can interlace your pointing fingers around your big toes if that feels good. Draw your elbows into your knee creases and take a butterfly pose with me. So we're opening into the hips and pelvis here. If any of these postures feel a bit dicky today or like they're not serving, feel free to modify, adapt, or leave it out altogether. But if you're just feeling a little bit stiff, it's okay, and this posture will help you. So I sometimes have yoga students say, oh, I can't touch my toes, so I can't do yoga. It's like, well, you probably should try and do some yoga if you can't touch your toes. So don't worry if it's not feeling super stretchy. It's good that you're here giving it a really good go. Great, so opening into the adductor muscles here, the inner thigh, the groin. Taking a final deep breath. Great, guide your knees together in front of you. And then you're going to cross your ankles and come into a cross leg position on your mat. From here, we're going to make our way over our knees, meeting in a tabletop position. So palms of the hands are under our shoulders, Knees are underneath those hips. Widen your fingertips here for a strong foundation connection to the ground. 4-point pose. Take a deep breath in, lower the belly, tilt the tailbone upward, open into your chest. And then as you exhale, push down through your palms, draw the tailbone downwards, round the spine, draw your chin to your chest, counter pose. Inhale, open the heart, tilt the tailbone upwards. Exhale, counter pose, draw the tailbone down, round the spine. One more round, inhaling to open through the chest, the heart, and exhaling for the counter pose. Great, coming back to your level tabletop position here, we're going to ground down through our left palm, drawing the right fingertips up towards the ceiling and opening into the chest. And then we're going to draw our right fingertips through the gap, coming into threaded needle pose. So draw your right cheek down to the earth and reach your left fingertips towards the top of the mat. Now, hopefully here in this upper body focused posture, you're going to be feeling a release through the neck and shoulders, through the upper back. This is a great one if you've been sitting at our desks today. If we feel stress can sometimes accumulate, build up in our upper body, our shoulders. This is a lovely one to counteract that. Okay, let's guide that left hand closer towards us. Root down into the left palm and then unravel your needle. So reaching the right fingertips up to the ceiling, opening your chest. Really nice. Come back to your level tabletop here. Ground down through your right palm. Lift the left fingertips up, open your chest. Beautiful. And then thread your needle the other side. So rooting that left cheek down to the earth. Reaching the right hand forward in front of you. Stretching into your upper back body, neck and shoulders. Really nice. Really good. Taking nice deep breaths in this posture and this stretch. Let's guide our right hand towards us, push down through the palm and open through the chest, lifting the left fingertips up to the ceiling. Lovely. Coming back down to the earth here, you're going to walk your hands a few inches further in front of you on the mat. You're going to keep your right knee rooted under your right hip. You're going to draw your left toes back behind you, coming into a calf stretch here. So we're tucking through our back toes, pushing down through our palms. And you might want to mobilize through the ankle a little bit here. I quite like taking a rock forward onto the tips of the toes and then driving the heel back, just clearing some of that tightness that can get stored through the ankle joint. You might hear a few little clicks here and there. As long as it's painless, it's actually probably quite a nice feeling, like the ankle's kind of clearing some stickiness. But you also might just want to welcome some stillness and drive that left heel back in space, stretching out through the calf muscle of the left leg. This is a great stretch for preventing those lower leg injuries. So injuries through the feet, injuries through the Achilles tendon, ankle tendons, that kind of stuff. And the more open our ankle joint can be, the more we can build stability and thus strengthen those tendons, those ligaments. Great stuff. Okay, now what I'm going to get you to do is draw your hands a little bit closer towards you. Guide some weight into your right hand, keeping the left leg extended towards the back of the mat. You're going to tilt your right toes ever so slightly towards the right side of your mat. And you're going to lift your left fingertips up. So we're coming into this kind of modified side plank pose. And we're then going to reach our left fingertips towards the top of our mats. And this just guides a really nice sensation of stretch all the way down through the left side of your body into the outer hip, down into the IT band, the iliotibial band, and through the lateral side body. Great. Really nice work. Drawing your left hand to meet your right, so you're going to come back through center and draw those knees to meet under hips. Just giving the hips a little bit of a shake here from side to side. We're going to make our way onto the other side of the body. So again, just walk your hands a few inches further to the top of your mat. Nice wide spread of your fingertips. Left knee stays under hip. Just going to push that out my way. Right toes draw behind you. We push down through the hands. You push down through the pads of the feet, the pads of the right foot even. And again, you might want to welcome some mobility here through that right foot, if that feels good, if that feels comfortable. Or you might want to just welcome some stillness and stretch into that right calf muscle. Doing a really good job, everyone. Aiming for full body recovery, full body focus today. So I'll try and target as much as I can for you. Brilliant. Let's start to guide those hands towards us. So we've got a little bit more of alignment, wrists under shoulders. Left hand draws down, left toes just gently guide off to the side there, so we can start to open into our modified side plank. Reaching the right fingertips first up to the ceiling, and then we reach them towards the top of the mat. And just notice that shift of sensation there. As you reach the fingertips towards the top of your mat, you guide extension into the right side of your body. Keeping everything lovely and long, lovely and stretched out. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Fantastic job. Let's guide our right hand to meet our left, knees to meet under hips, coming back to that tabletop position, just shaking the hips from side to side. Really good. Draw the knees together now, and the ankles together too, and then draw your hips back towards your heels, reaching the fingertips forward in front of you on the mat, coming into a child's pose. Releasing through the lower spine, the back body, the upper arms, and just taking a moment to rest, to breathe deep. May have had a super busy Monday, may have felt like you've been rushing around, finding it hard to take those times for stillness, those moments of peace. Just take the next few breaths as an opportunity to check in with yourself. Observe how you feel physically, mentally, without judgment, just checking in. Also just an opportunity to thank yourself for setting aside the time this evening for you. Let's lift the gaze up to our fingertips, start to walk our hands towards us, coming into a kneeling position at the back of the mat. Going to take a stretch for the soles of the feet here, so just gently make your way forward ever so slightly so that you can tuck through the toes, and then guide your hips back down towards your heels. This might feel quite strong. If this feels too strong, you can come forward onto your hands and knees and then gently ease back. But you do get a little bit more depth of stretch when you draw your body weight down into the soles of the feet. So stretching through the plantar fascia, that band of tissue at the base of the foot. So you want to keep that nice and supple to avoid injuries like plantar fasciitis. Actually, lots of leg injuries can be caused by tension through the feet. So focusing on keeping things nice and stretched out. Great, let's release through the toes, gently make our way down a little bit closer to the earth. We're going to take a deep breath in, lift the arms up above us, draw your hands to meet, and then draw your hands behind your neck. We're stretching into the triceps here, into the upper arms. And we use our arms more in running than we think. I find sometimes after races, actually, my arms almost sometimes feel more stiff, or at least my shoulders. So important to notice that as well. Let's release through that stretch, drawing the hands above us and then down in front of us. We're going to come up onto our shins here, lifting through the torso. And then we're going to guide our right foot forward in front of us. Start to shift your right knee to stack over right ankle here, stretching into that left hip. Brilliant. Fingertips drop down by your sides to start, and then we can lift them up towards the ceiling, opening into that left hip. So really important here that we tuck through the pelvis. We're not sticking the bum out. We're welcoming a really nice stretch through the left psoas muscle, the left hip flexor. Great, let's take a deep breath in. As you exhale, start to shift those hip creases back, lengthening into your right hamstring. Fingertips drop down to the earth briefly, and then make your way back in your own time for your low lunge. So we're moving in through hips and hamstrings here. Take your time with this. Transition doesn't need to be rushed. Welcoming a gentle pause for each posture before transitioning back to the alternate posture. We're going to do it once more on this side, so lifting up for that low lunge, opening into the hip, and then driving the hips back. And we'll take a little bit more time here in a half split. This posture is also called runner's lunge because it's very good for runners, and because runners often find that their hamstrings can be super tight. So that's what we're focusing on lengthening here, our right hamstring. Fingertips are underneath the shoulders to support yourself in this pose. Pelvis is centered on the mat. Really good job. Start to ease your way forward for that low lunge again, but this time you're going to draw both your hands either side of your right foot. Root down through the left palm and reach the right fingertips up. You have the option here, if you'd like, to tuck the back toes and lift the back knee up. Coming into a spinal lunge twist. Great. Draw your right hand back down to earth. Gently drop down through the back knee, untuck the toes, and in your own time, draw those knees to meet behind you and come back up to a kneeling position onto the shins, lifting through the torso. Coming onto the other side, so left foot is going to guide forward here. Again, just welcome enough space so that you can shift your knee to stack directly on top of the ankle, protecting our joints. Really important to welcome those stackings of joints. Tucking through the pelvis, opening into the right hip. Drop your fingertips down by your sides and drawing shoulders away from ears. And then lift the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Low lunge. Releasing tightness through the right hip crease here. As we sit in desk chairs or any chair, our hips can get super tight. And this is a complete kind of counter pose for that, opening into the hips. You can store lots of stress and tension in the hips too, so these postures are great to alleviate that. We're going to welcome that hip hamstring sequence, that flow. So you're going to gently start to guide your hips back, lengthening into the left leg, fingertips drop for support, brief pause, and then in your own time, make your way back with control to your low lunge position. Nice. So if you want to move with your breath here, you can inhale to lift and then breathe out as you gently draw hips back. Just a nice kind of warming sequence here, but engaging with those really important muscle groups. Okay. And then meeting for a few more moments in your half split or your runner's lunge here. Again, fingertips are under your shoulders for stability, for support, and you're lengthening into that left hamstring. Well done. Taking final deep breath in this stretch. Before we gently start to ease ourselves forward, so left knee is coming to stack over left ankle. Ground your palms either side of your foot. Root down through the right palm. Lift the left fingertips up. Have the option to lift the back knee too if you would like to, but there's no pressure. More about twist here. If you want to welcome a little bit more heat into your practice, then you can lift that back knee. Okay, let's drop down through the back knee if we had lifted it. Draw the fingertips to frame the front foot, and then gently making your way back to a kneeling position at the back of your mat. We're going to come forward into downward facing dog, final stretch, and then we will finish up our class this evening. Really good job, all of you. Root your palms towards the top of the mat, tuck through the toes, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, and take some nice generous pedals of your legs here, stretching into calves, stretching into hamstrings whilst we lengthen into the spine and we strengthen through the shoulders. Okay, draw your gaze towards your hands and start to shift that right knee towards your right wrist. So coming into a glute stretch to finish things off today, pigeon pose. Definitely don't want to miss this one out because our glutes are our biggest muscle group, so we need to look after them. You can either stay up on your fingertips here or you can make your way down onto your forearms, feeling a really deep stretch here through the right glutes and opening through the right hip. And just taking some nice deep breaths here as we work on this final posture of our practice. Really nice job. Take your final deep breath on this side. Before starting to make your way up onto your hands. Tuck through your back toes. Take your time with this transition. There's no rush. Lift yourselves back up to that downward facing dog pose. And then we're coming onto the other side. So left knee towards left wrist. Untucking those toes behind you, settling on your mat or on the earth. And then you can come down onto those forearms again and just access a little bit more depth of stretch through the left glute, left hip. Fab job. Take your final few deep breaths in your glute stretch this side. Fantastic. Start to gently come up onto those hands. Take your time to tuck through the back toes and lift the hips up high. Okay, we're going to make our way forward to a plank position just so that we can drop down to the earth. So as you meet me in plank here, drop down through the knees and then lower yourself down onto your belly. Final little bit of work here. We're going to draw our fingertips to the top corners of our mat and lift up through the chest and just welcome a nice stretch through the core, through the front body here. Maybe lifting the gaze ever so slightly up to the ceiling. And then melting the chest down. Fantastic work. Draw your hands under shoulders. Gently make your way back to that downward facing dog pose. And then we're going to lift our gaze to our hands, just start to walk our hands towards our toes, so meeting at the back of the mat in a forward fold position. Soften through the knees as much as you need here. And just gently encourage your chin to your chest, lengthening into the back of the legs, back of the spine. Fingertips are going to draw in front of the toes, so bend into the knees as much as you need to be able to do this. Draw chin to chest and start to roll the body up, one vertebrae by vertebrae. So using the core here, coming all the way up to a standing position. Head's going to come last there as you unfurl through the spine, practicing that spinal flexion. Just to finish here, we're going to take a nice big circle through the arms, lifting tall, and then finishing with our hands in front of the chest. Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute stretch. I hope that you feel like you've had a good move about, you've cleared some tension through the body, and I look forward to seeing some of you at my next yoga